Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Find Your Futures session this morning. We've got 3 employers here to speak with you today, so thank you very much for coming along. A few things to run through with you before we get started, and I hand over to our panellists to introduce themselves. So we are recording today's session. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel after this, and obviously used in various different ways. So if you're not happy to be recorded, please keep your camera switched off during the session. You'll notice that you've been automatically muted. If you can keep it that way, please, throughout. And if you want to submit a question, put it in the chat box, either whilst our speakers are talking or as we go through the Q&A as well. If you want to submit a question by raising your hand, you can do that as well towards the end of the session. So we will get started. That's just running through obviously what I've just said. Please do ask questions. The speakers this morning have given up their time from their busy days, so we really do encourage you to submit as many questions, because this is your chance to find out more about the companies and the experiences that they've got on offer. So today's panel consists of Cairn Civil Engineering, Frazer-Nash and Nucleargraduates. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'm going to hand over to Phil from Cairn to introduce themselves. There you go, Phil.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I've got a few slides to run through this morning to explain a bit about what we do and the opportunities that we and the industry have. Hopefully someone can give me the thumbs up. You can see my screen. Yeah, okay, good. So welcome. Yeah, we're Cairn. Little bit about us. We're a design and build main contractor working in the civil construction industry, in infrastructure across the UK. We're a privately owned business. We've been trading for 25 years. And we undertake all sorts of a broad range of interesting work types, which I will tell you a little bit about. We work in rail infrastructure, pollution control, environmental measures, water, product innovation, steel fabrication, mechanical electrical works, highways, bridges and structures. Most of the schemes that we run are multidisciplined, so they cross over between some civils and construction work, some design work and some mechanical and electrical installations. A little bit more about the practicalities of what we do. We project manage fully the process, right from design to build to handover for our clients. This is a small scheme where we installed a large span external structure on a train depot for some weather protection shelter for external maintenance. Obviously working in and around the rail environment with the overhead lines and the running lines with the trains brings about lots of logistical and safety considerations that need to be taken into account during both the design phases and the delivery phases of the projects. The roles that we're recruiting for are graduate site engineers, graduate quantity surveyors and graduate designers and CAD technicians. So the way our business is structured is we've got a design team that operates within our Leeds office, and then we have a delivery team that deliver the works out in the field. So there's opportunities within our business right across a broad range of professions, from office-based roles to site-based engineering roles, and we employ a really broad spectrum of people, from machine drivers who operate our own plant. So we have a team of workforce that are out on site actually physically doing the tasks. So every day is different at Cairn. There's always something interesting to think about and look at, and most of the schemes that we deliver have quite a significant amount of complexity in terms of what we're delivering. So as a very quick whistle-stop tour of Cairn, that is a little bit about what we do. I'm very happy to answer any questions regarding what we deliver for anybody who has any questions. Obviously, there's many more project examples on our website. If you search for us on Google, we'll come hopefully somewhere near the top of the list, and you'll be able to see our project examples and some of our other news feeds. So please have a look at that as well. What we do is very interesting.
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted then. Yeah, we've got a question which has come in there, but I think if we'll keep that for the Q&A after all of the different speakers have spoken, then that would be perfect. So Phil, if you want to unshare your screen now, that would be brilliant, and we can hand it over to Josh and
Thank you.
from Frazer-Nash. Take it away, Josh and Hannah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. Is that working okay?
Yeah.
Is it showing properly?
Yeah, we can see your first slide.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Josh, you happy to start?
Yep. So hi everyone, I'm Josh. I'm one of the senior engineers at Frazer-Nash. So I'll tell a bit, just a little quick intro to Frazer-Nash. So Frazer-Nash, we're a consultancy firm, and we're a leading systems engineering and technology company. We've got offices in 11 places all over the UK. We've got 4 offices in Australia. We've got a few different, 3 different main business units at Frazer-Nash. So the first is the defence business unit. So that's primarily working with submarines and aircraft, that kind of thing. I've also got the energy business unit, which is where I primarily work. So that's renewables, oil and gas, nuclear are the most prevalent areas in that business unit. And then finally, we've got the transport and industry business unit. So in this unit, we kind of got rail, but we've also got other things like math modeling and data science as well, which is one of our new areas. Yep, so these are the different locations that we have for offices. Do you want to take over on this, Hannah?
Hannah, I think you're muted. I'm not sure whether you're speaking, but I think you're still muted at the moment.
Sorry. Can you see it now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Hannah.
Sorry, I was just talking. So across Frazer-Nash, we recruit graduates, year in industry and summer interns. Our graduate roles are permanent positions, and then our year in industry placements are 10 to 12 months, and summer intern positions are 7 to 10 week opportunities. So we're looking for people who've got a 2-1 or above, either obtained or predicted to get that. We're looking for people who absolutely love solving problems, challenging problems, who are really interested in working in a consultancy environment. So people who are really good with project management skills, analytical, and really keen to work with a variety of different clients, helping to solve some of the most challenging problems out there. So our recruitment process, so for our graduates and year in industry and summer interns, is initially an online application, followed by some capability psychometric testing, and then video interviews and a final interview if you're a year in industry or summer intern, and a presentation as well if you're a graduate. So one of the great things about Frazer-Nash is that actually if you join us as a year in industry or summer intern, there is opportunity for you to be recruited as a graduate after you finish your degree. So you could be securing yourself a permanent role before you've even gone into your final year, which is quite nice. So applications are open now. They will be closing around the 17th of December. However, please bear in mind we are screening already, and we have had a huge volume of applications. So if you are keen, then I would say get your application in sooner rather than later, as there is the chance that if we start to fill roles that we will be closing them sooner than that. So yeah. So just to give you a bit of an idea of some of our benefits, so our graduates start on a £30,000 starting salary and a £2,000 joining bonus. You in industry and some interns on 20,000. Some really good benefits, including 25 days holiday, really good company pension, flexible start and finish, and lots of nice other buy and sell holiday and other bits and pieces there. And if you want to keep in touch with us, feel free to, you can either scan the QR code there, which will take you to the Early Careers website, or you can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn. You can add me as the Early Careers Advisor on LinkedIn, and yeah, feel free to send me a message or send me a direct email as well if we don't manage to answer any of the questions today that you want, or you want to talk to us particularly one-to-one, then yeah, feel free to get in touch. That's everything.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Hannah and Josh. Once Hannah's stopped sharing her screen, then you can go ahead and share yours, please, and introduce yourselves.
Okay, no worries. Can you hear me okay?
We can, yeah. Thanks, Liz.
Okay, can you see the slides okay, yeah?
Yeah, all good.
Perfect. So my name's Lewis. I'm one of the graduates on the Nucleargraduates scheme. So I'm 1 year in at the moment. The scheme itself is run by a company called Energus. They're a trading academy, but the scheme is actually funded and sponsored by all the people you can see on the slides now. So this list is what it currently is, but it's constantly growing. At the moment, the main ones are Rolls-Royce, Sellafield, Jacobs, and Magnox. They're the ones that tend to take on the most graduates. So the way it works is, if you're interested in the scheme, you'd go to an assessment centre, and some of these companies would be there looking to employ people. And then if you were to take on a role with them, you'd then run through the Nucleargraduate scheme with these as your sponsoring organisation. So you get to go around lots of different companies on the scheme, but at the end of the 2 years, once you're completed and graduated from the scheme, you then go and join your sponsoring organisation for a full-time role in typically whatever it is that you originally were recruited for, but there is flexibility to join in different roles depending on where your skills have developed over the 2 years. So the programme itself is typically split into 3 secondments, but this is kind of what they advertise it as, but there's a lot of flexibility in this. So for example, they say you tend to do 3 8-month secondments with a few short ones, but I've already done 3 in my first year, planning on doing about 5. So what happens is you start at your sponsoring organisation for your first secondment, and then the rest of the secondments, you then choose them with different organisations, to be honest, in any industry. You tend to stay in the nuclear industry, but you can go anywhere. The list at the moment covers companies in UK, Australia, most of Europe, Canada as well, just anywhere that you can find somewhere that you've got reason to develop your professional skills. If you put in a good business case, you can go and explore a secondment with those companies. And in between your secondments as well, you'll do lots of training zones. So that's 2 to 3 weeks with the rest of your cohort, where you'll develop things such as your business skills, your project management skills, leadership and management. And then after that, you'll go on to sort of a 2-week consolidation period where you meet with the cohort and then you graduate as well. The typical hiring process is just your standard application form. You do a situational strengths assessment online, a video interview, and then at the moment, I think it's still a virtual assessment centre, but this may change next year to back to being in person, depending on the COVID regulations. So yeah, have you got any questions? Just let me know.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Lewis.
No worries.
So if I can get you to stop sharing, Lewis, then
Yep.
we can move. Thank you very much. That's lovely. We can move on to our Q&A section of the event. So I know we've had a couple of messages already in the chat for our speakers. So if we start off with them, if you do have any other questions, please just keep submitting them through the chat box. There's an option along the bottom of your screen just to open that up, and you can type your questions in there. So first of all, and I think this was directed specifically to Phil, but we can, obviously Lewis, I think you've already covered this a little bit, but we can take this to Phil and to Hannah and Josh. So Phil, are there any international opportunities, or are all projects UK based for you?
Yeah, currently with Cairn Cross, our projects are UK based. We have looked at in the past some opportunities over in Australia, but we've not executed any of those at the moment. So the roles that we're recruiting for the time being are UK based work. So we work nationally across the UK.
Perfect, thank you very much. And if we're going to have that same question for you, Hannah and Josh, I'm not sure who's best to answer that one.
Yeah, so I'd say primarily most of our work is done in the UK, but obviously we do have some offices in Australia as well. So I think there is scope for some work in Australia potentially. It's not something that happens that often, but it can happen. And I know firsthand there's a lot of people I work with are doing work in Europe as well. So in France and Sweden and those kind of places.
Brilliant, okay. Thank you very much for that. I suppose as well, it's probably relevant to say that even if there's not those opportunities on placement and graduate schemes, then, you know, as you go further in your career, those opportunities can present themselves. So it's worth kind of bearing that in mind for the future and biding your time potentially. Yeah, Phil, go on.
Okay, yes, I'll just add to that for the students. To be honest, I think you know, there's a massive opportunity in the industry generally. For choosing which specialism graduates wish to go into as their career progresses, and for international work right across the world, and that having a good graduate training scheme and grounding in the UK construction industry really does open up an enormous amount of opportunity for whatever career path people wish to follow.
Excellent, thanks Phil, that's really useful. So our second question, can postgraduate students participate in placements? So I know, Hannah, you mentioned placements. Are postgraduates eligible for you, or is it just undergraduates?
Primarily, we would be looking at undergraduates, yeah. We would probably be expecting, if you're looking for a placement or a role, that you'd be applying for a graduate permanent position afterwards. Because our placement year in industry are for people part of that sandwich degree who's taking that year out as part of their course. So for us, we would be looking at undergraduates.
Great, thank you. Obviously Lewis and Phil jump in, but just to add to that, from a university perspective, we do find that most opportunities that are advertised kind of placement year wise are aimed at undergraduate students, and as Hannah said, for postgraduates you'd more be looking at graduate schemes because they are the more relevant opportunity for you. So just to kind of add that would be the normal way of doing things usually. So for Phil now, does Cairn Cross offer summer placements, and are there opportunities for placements and graduates in the North East?
The short answer is yes, we do. We've got a training manager that deals with the apprenticeships, graduate training and placements. Right now, we haven't got any operational projects specifically in the North East, and most of our project-based team travel to where the projects are being undertaken. Of course, it depends which particular role is being applied for, and we do operate a blend of working in the office and working from home. So we have a blended employment model for office-based staff.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Hopefully that answers that for you, Alice, and thank you for the question. So another question now, are there roles for communicational and signal processing field in Frazer-Nash, the one for you, Hannah and Josh?
Graduate-wise, it's not a particular role that we have specifically got advertised, but we do have some roles advertised that cover a variety of skills that actually you may still be able to be eligible for and apply to. So what I would recommend doing is perhaps having a little look at our free thinker and problem solving role that we've got advertised at the moment, because that one covers quite a few teams across the business that are looking for transferable skills, and it's quite an interesting role. So perhaps have a look at that one. But if you go on to either our early career section of our website or our or Grad Cracker, we've got some really good resources there and some information about the different types of roles and some hints and tips as the sort of thing we'll be looking for in the applications as well.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Hannah. So Lewis, we have a question for you, similarly to before, about postgraduate students participating in your programmes, and also about challenging opportunities in the field of electronics.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So in terms of placements, if it's just sort of, if you were thinking kind of like year in industry, we don't offer that. The grad scheme is just a 2-year program. But if you are interested in it, there are 3 of my cohort are currently participating in their postgraduate and completing the grad scheme as well. And then to answer the part about the challenging opportunities in the field of electronics, it's definitely available. It's just up to you to kind of find it. So if you go to the assessment centre and you were to get a role, after that, when you're looking at your future roles, sort of your secondment 2, secondment 3 or 4, if you're doing that, you could just go and look for different companies and find some opportunities that you're interested in. So for example, my next one, I'm going to go to a company called RACE, which is Robotic Applications in Challenging Environments for the UK Atomic Energy Authority. And they do lots of robotics and electronics for fusion reactors. So like, obviously you can't go into a reactor, you need to use robots to go and change some of the panels inside there. So that's what I was looking at for my next one, which I feel is similar to what you're after.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Lewis. All the questions we've had submitted at the moment so far. If you've got more, please feel free to keep submitting them as we go through. But a couple of questions just from my perspective. Obviously, the recruitment processes are really competitive for all of your opportunities, and a lot of students will be interested in them. What could students do to really stand out in their applications for each of you? So if we start with you, Phil, if you wouldn't mind answering that one.
I think, yeah, really good question. I think that demonstrating obviously a keenness to learn, an interest in a broad spectrum of delivery, particularly within the construction industry, because every project's different. The industry's demanding in terms of the input and the time of what it requires a great deal of travelling. So the demonstrating that you're available to be flexible. Some of the working hours are inconsistent, particularly in railway environments where you might be doing night shifts or weekend work. So flexibility towards the working environment that the projects operate in is really quite important.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Phil. And same question to Hannah and Josh, please.
Yeah, so for us, we get a lot of applications, and something that really stands out for us is people that spend time on their cover letters. So for the initial application, what I would say is that it is more obvious than not when people do the copy and paste and send the same cover letter out to lots of different employers, and it's really nice when people take the time to sort of personalize their cover letters and tell you more about why specifically they want to join Frazer-Nash, and what it is about a consultancy environment that really appeals to them, and those are the people that really do stand out. So there's lots and lots of people with fantastic academic achievements, and actually it's the little details of going that extra mile in your cover letter that actually you're more likely than not going to stand out than someone who's got perhaps similar academic achievements, just because we can see that you've spent some time and that you're interested in working for us, and also having probably an interest in why you want to join the team as well, or the type of area that you've applied for is also really helpful, I think, because it shows that passion. So if you can give us some explanation as to why you've applied to that area, then that also really helps.
That's brilliant, thank you. And Lewis, if you wouldn't mind giving us your perspective on that one as well, please.
Yeah, no problem at all. I feel like an important thing for this graduate scheme is just to highlight that you can be proactive, because the grad scheme is very well run, but people who get the most out of it are the people that are going to go out and look for the opportunities and take those, because the program team will support you in whatever decisions you do. If you want to go to Australia, you can go to Australia. If you want to do a CPD course to develop some skills, they'll support that, but you've got to be the one to go and find it. So if you can highlight in your cover letter, in your CV, or in any of the assessment centres that you're capable of going out and being proactive, that I think that would be a really key point to highlight. And also kind of what Phil said about being adaptable over the 2 years. With each secondment, you're quite likely going to have to move around to those secondments. So, for example, I had to move from Newcastle to Derby, and then I'm back up to Newcastle now because I'm working from home, but I'm based in Chester. So there will be that element to it. So if it sounds interesting to you and you can highlight those in your cover letter, then do so. I think you'll put you in good stead.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Another question, which is probably one which will be asked in every event happening now, but how has COVID affected your organisations, and also the setup with kind of hybrid working and how things are working really in your industry and your organisation? Quite a big question there. So if I can go back to Phil first for that one, please.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, well, I'll break the trend if that's okay with everyone, and avoid the negativism. Obviously, COVID's been a challenge for everybody, and there's lots of negative news around COVID generally. For us as an organisation, it's actually there's been some positive influences. And we were quite proactive, probably fairly fortunate as a smaller organisation. We employ about 55 people. So we took the decision really early on when in the first lockdown that we'd change our technology, and we upgraded our computer systems and changed the way that we operated. Went from a very traditional, every meeting was face to face and sort of traditional, forgive me for saying old-fashioned, construction norms, and we turned that right on its head, and introduced a rota in our head office, introduced hybrid working, and we decided really early on that we'd stick with that. It worked really well for us. We had really good staff engagement. From that exercise, we found that it allowed people to be more productive, have a little bit more freedom potentially, and a better work-life balance, manage their time a bit more easily. So yeah, there's been a big significant impact to the business, but there's been some positives as well, and we've continued on that basis, and we've structured our working week and our project management around the days of the week. So we've got different different core teams of the business in the office on different days, focusing on one aspect of what we're delivering, such as tendering and sales is on Tuesday, and contracts and delivery are on a Wednesday, and that's worked really well for us. Obviously, on the operational sites, a little bit more challenging. There's lots of things we do that you just cannot do on a computer screen, like excavating for drains and pipes and highways. We've had lots of challenges around that in terms of people travelling together, the vans, the machinery, the equipment. We've got remote offices, temporary accommodation, and we've had to do different cleaning regimes and lots of control measures that are being put into place across the industry. But we've actually remained operational throughout the whole of the pandemic, and thankfully we've had very little issue in terms of transmission of the virus. So while it's been challenging and difficult, it's been on the whole, I would say, on reflection, it's brought about a lot of positive changes as well.
Brilliant, thanks for that, Phil. Nice to hear the positive side of things, definitely. And Hannah and Josh, if you wouldn't mind taking that one as well, please.
Yeah, maybe we can split this, because I actually joined Frazer-Nash during COVID, so I've only really seen Frazer-Nash since we've been in this more hybrid way of working. However, I mean, what I think is really great about how Frazer-Nash have dealt with the situation is that actually they're very, very accommodating to making sure that there's ways of communicating with everyone across the business effectively and efficiently without having that feeling that you're not able to get your job done or be able to keep in touch with people and network. So we have lots of communication tools and ways that we were able to do that. And I've found, since I've joined, I've felt part of a team and part of business from day one, and I haven't personally felt like I've missed out. So I suppose from my personal opinion and perspective, that must be quite a good sign. I think that the way they're doing it now is that actually you can have that flexibility. So if you want to go back into the office a few days a week, then you've got the opportunity to do so. But if you also want to work from home, there's that trust and flexibility to actually tailor your working week how you want to do it, which I think is really the new norm now across a lot of businesses, that actually gives people that work-life balance they also want, because some people like having that flexibility of going in and working from home, but not feeling like actually if they do work from home that they're gonna miss out as well. So maybe Josh, you can pick up from more of a client perspective how it works, consultancy perhaps, but
So I'd say it's been pretty good. I found the sort of I've been working from home since sort of March last year, and I've only recently started going back into the office like 1 or 2 days a week. So pre-pandemic, I used to spend quite a lot of time working out of clients' offices within sort of embedded roles, and I think sort of the pandemic and the work from home has been able to sort of prove that as a business we don't always have to sort of go to the client's office and work out the client's office. Like, we can actually conduct work and do it well remotely, and I think in terms of our relationship with the client, it's improved that, so we've got more trust and a more positive communication with the client in that sense. So I think it's been really quite good working from home. The flexibility that it offers is good. I think for things like childcare, and if you've got your own sort of personal things that you need to do, the flexibility is really useful. But it's also quite nice going into the office and seeing the people that you actually work with, and sort of going in on a Friday and maybe going out for a beer or two after work on a Friday is quite a nice thing as well. So yeah, I think it's really, you get the best of both worlds, I think.
Brilliant. Yeah, I can see Ange nodding as well, and we're all feeling that. It's nice to get back in the office and see real faces again. And Lewis, if you wouldn't mind answering that one for us as well.
Yeah, no worries. I think I'm similar to Hannah. I joined in the middle of the pandemic and don't really have anything to compare it to. But from my personal experiences, I've done 2 secondments. My first one was with Rolls-Royce, and because they're defence orientated, that was a lot of being in the office. So I did get to do sort of 3-4 days a week in there, which was nice. And now this secondment now is just fully working from home. But yeah, I think since the start of the pandemic, everyone's really improved their IT systems at least. So just being able to communicate effectively, that's not a problem. And yeah, the added flexibility of just being at home and sort of having a more flexible schedule, I'm really starting to enjoy as well. So yeah, there's good sides to it. It works well.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm glad we've all managed to see the positives in all of that. So that's been a good one to look at. So I think we've got time for one more question. If anyone else has got any questions, please pop them in the chat now, and we can move on to them next. But another nice positive one to kind of bring things to a close on. What is the best thing about working for your organisations and about your role? What's your favourite thing? So Phil, if we can have that one to you first, please.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about the infrastructure industry, the broader construction industry from a heavy civils point of view. I've had a really good experience in the industry from a young site engineer to now, managing my own business, my own company. And there's just a great opportunity for people from all walks of life to really choose what suits them and what they can specialize in. I enjoy the change, the fact that every day is different, that there's new projects coming onto the agenda all the time, and for me, when we complete a project, it's the fact that we've actually physically done something, built something, impacted, hopefully in a positive way, the community and people. So it's really fantastic to see something change. At the moment, we're undertaking an infrastructure project on a mill development. So we're doing the roads, sewers, and utilities package for a large mill development, and the mill's been derelict for 20 or 30 years, or possibly more. And it's just really nice they're converting it into a selection of residential accommodation to quite high standard. And it's just really nice to see the heritage of the buildings being brought back to life and having a positive impact on that environment. So they're the things I think that the industry has to offer, and I enjoy very much working in and around the industry and all the diversity that it brings.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Phil. So I'll repeat that question because I think there was some connection problems possibly when I said it first time around. So it was, what's the best thing about working in your industry and for your organisation? So if we can go to Hannah and Josh for that one next, please.
Yep, what's that? So for me, Frazer-Nash is the first engineering consultancy I've ever worked in the recruitment sphere, and I think what I am really enjoying and really love about it is the fact that you work with some unbelievably passionate people who really want to make such a difference to the world, and it's incredible to hear some of the projects that actually the teams get involved in and the huge difference they make to lots of organizations. And even when I was researching for my own interview for the company, I couldn't believe some of the capabilities and some of the things that have been created and designed through the experts at Frazer-Nash, and it really sort of it's blown my mind actually. It's amazing, and I feel really proud that I get to work for a company that makes such a difference. And I suppose more from a HRE perspective, I've never worked somewhere where people are so passionate about their early careers team. So engineers who've worked for business, started out as grads maybe 20 years ago, are still so excited about recruiting future grads because they realise that actually, in a consultancy environment, to remain competitive, you've got to have the best people. So they realise that you have to invest in the early careers area, because it's so important for our sort of future generations of the business. And but they genuinely get really excited and really care, and for me it makes my job better and easier, because that means that I don't have to you know, try and get people to want to do, you know, go to fairs and that. They genuinely really want to do it, and it's nice that I've got really keen colleagues around the business that are just really excited about the graduates and placement students and interns that join us. So I think it speaks volumes that actually we do really care, and that's one of our values, and it really does mean something. So that's what is important to me.
Yeah, I think I'd sort of echo what Hannah said there as well. I think in addition for me as well, sort of the best thing about working for a consultancy is definitely the variety in the role. So I've been at Frazer-Nash for just a little over 3 years, and in that time, I've been able to do so many different things. So I've been seconded and worked on a power station. I've worked for a ton of different clients in a lot of different areas. So I'm primarily based in the nuclear and process safety group, but I haven't been solely doing that sort of line of work. I've been able to do a little bit of sort of strengthen my skills in software development and programming, because that was something that I wanted to do. So I think a consultancy environment is, if you're proactive and there's things that you want to do, and you Frazer-Nash work in so many different areas, there's definitely scope for you to do that and move into those areas and do that sort of work. And I think for looking at sort of the industry, so I think the best sort of thing so I'm primarily working in the nuclear industry, so being able to make a difference and know that, you know, we're working towards being able to be a green future and all that kind of thing. So I think it's really rewarding in that sense as well.
Ian, thank you very much. And finally to Lewis, please.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Josh said there. Like, when working in the nuclear industry, it's just, we've got these huge goals in the UK of net zero by 2050. So being able to be part of the industry that is actually making like a big impact in that, and you can kind of see the sort of positive changes that it can have like on a day-to-day. That's something that I really like working in. It was one of the big things of why I applied for the grad scheme. So the best thing about the grad scheme for me though is just the flexibility and the support that you get from the program team, and just going and doing what you want, because all they care about is developing you as whether it's an engineer, it's a finance grad, whatever it is, they just want you to develop your personal skills, your professional skills, and how you do that is really up to you, and they'll support you through it. So I think that's sort of the best thing what we have to offer.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Nice to end on a nice positive note from you all. So we're coming towards the end of our Q&A now, so we can stop the recording.